and welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Coletta, a.k.a. Hammonton Mike, along with my sidekick, Brian, the Ranger Attard, to give you another episode you're just going to love. You're just going to... Oh.
You know why I like being down here? Is you can't throw anything. So I'm not really afraid for my personal safety. Yeah. Especially right here in Shangri-La in the Ranger room.
When I come down here, I am seeing it shrink, by the way, so it has helped me a little bit. When I get back into my house, then I'll start throwing stuff. Today's episode is Winners of the Week. As we do every week, all we do is give you winners. So let's start.
Week 15.
Yep. We're going to start with the Saturday game, the Miami Dolphins against the New York Jets. Wow, they really played this out well, didn't they? The Miami Dolphins, unfortunately, looks like they've lost Tannehill for a little while. I don't know how that's going to go. They've been playing well defensively, offensively, not too bad getting the job done. Here's a Jets team off a big, I don't even call it big, but big San Francisco win after San Francisco up 14-0 went in the toilet. Nice job, Chet. So this is an interesting game. Jets going home, Miami coming up north. It's December. It could be a little cold. You know what? I'm still going to take Miami. I think Miami has the defense to win this game. The Jets look like they're a mess right now. I know they won with Petty, and you know he's an up-and-coming kid, and maybe he's the future and this and that. I'm not sold on the Jets yet. They beat Miami. You might maybe convince me next week, but for now I'm taking the Dolphins.
So how many people in the New York market do you think are going to stay home on a Saturday night to watch this game?
During Christmas time.
During Christmas time.
Probably not a lot.
So this...
Lane-L.
It sucks for the Dolphins. You know they've had a really solid year, all things considered, and to lose Tannehill now is definitely it's a shot. I'm not sure they're going to be able to come back from. You know, as you mentioned, the Jets went out west and got a really meaningless win, but it was good for them. Up against the 49ers. The interesting part about this game to me is it looks like Matt Forte is not going to play in this game. It looks like Bilal Powell is going to take over the running back role for the Jets. You know, I just don't think the Dolphins have enough without Tannehill at quarterback. I think they're going to rely a lot on J.J., maybe a lot more than normal. You know, Landry's the only receiver they got that really scares anybody. Stills he's fine, but Devontae Parker's been a big letdown this year. You know, the Dolphins really do need the win. But I just don't know what to expect from Matt Moore at quarterback. I think that, you know, the Jets might be a little buoyed by that win they got last week, no matter how irrelevant it was, and nobody even saw it. But I think that the Jets find a way to win this game. I think, you know, they get up for a divisional game. If they have a chance to put a wrench in the Dolphins' playoff plans, they're going to do it. So, give me the Jets. As crazy as that sounds. Another divisional battle, the surging Green Bay Packers visit Chi-Town to face the Chicago Bears with Matt Barkley at quarterback. The Bears are getting Alshon Jeffrey back this week after his 4-game suspension, but the Packers look great. The Packers have really turned it on the past couple weeks. Yeah. Started off with that win in Philadelphia, that they've turned it into a couple more. They really made mincemeat of the Seattle Seahawks, and that is not an easy team to do that from. I've said for a couple weeks here, I think the Packers are going to run the table. I think they are. I think they win this game pretty handily. I just don't think Chicago, I don't even know what you're playing for at this point. Maybe John Fox keep his job, I don't even know. But I like Green Bay to win the game. I don't think it's going to be that close.
Even Chicago at home, you always hear in the betting world, in the interdivisional home dog. Not in this case. I'm taking the Packers as well. I think the Packers have turned it around. Their defense from the depths of the ashes have been revitalized again. They look good. 5 turnovers last week against the Seattle Seahawks. Even though they're on the road, like you said, as long as Rodgers holds up, I know that calf injury is bothering him and he seems to be limping a little bit, but you know what? I think the Packers can get it done this week. I'm taking the Packers as well. The Cleveland Browns against the Buffalo Bills. Now this one would have been normal. An easy win probably a couple weeks ago, taking Buffalo, but you know what? Buffalo hasn't played well of late. They've been struggling a little bit. Tyrod Taylor in and out of, you know, running around, things like that. LaShawn McCoy's still a beast and all, but you know what? It still doesn't matter. I'm still taking Buffalo at home. I think this Cleveland team is shame. It's terrible. They're really, every week they keep kicking themselves because they don't have a quarterback. Now they have RG3 in there running around again. Terrell Pryor is I would love to think is out of there next year, but I think they're going to throw so much money at him. He's going to have to stay. But in any case you spin it, I think Buffalo is the better team here, the talented team here. They're home. I'm taking the Bills.
When the best quarterback on your team is your starting wide receiver, you have issues.
Yeah. Rex Ryan needs the game too. So
Bills win the game. You know, the Browns are an absolute mess. I think you're staring 0-16 in the face.
Yep.
You know, again, there are some problems in Buffalo. Again, Buffalo is by no means any sort of a powerhouse here. They're 6-7. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. But, you know, and there's talk of them, you know, looking to make a quarterback change. I haven't ruled that out for that team. I think it's definitely possible. But it is the Browns. So, you know, this is like the free space in bingo when you play the Browns. So, Bills win the game.
Free space. Go ahead, you get the next game.
Battle of the East Coast Birds as the Philadelphia Eagles travel down to Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Eagles have not been playing well for a couple of weeks now. That's no surprise in the viewing area. Ravens need the game. Ravens are chasing the Pittsburgh Steelers for the spot of the AFC North for the division lead. They're one game behind. They play each other next week. I think the only fear from Baltimore's side is, are they looking ahead to that Steeler game? If they're not looking ahead, they should win this game pretty handily. It's a heartbreaking loss to lose in New England, but nobody wins up there usually. But man, did they play hard. I give them a lot of credit. They played really well, all things considered. I do think the Ravens win this game because, frankly, they have something to play for, and the opposition doesn't.
I'm thinking the Ravens as well. I think the Eagles are in trouble. They look like they're actually going in reverse. Carson Wentz looks fine, even though he doesn't have any receivers to throw to. The injury bug seems to be catching up with the Eagles a little bit too. You're talking about, you know, Sproles in concussion protocol right now, maybe not going to play. You have Smallwood on IR now. You're going to get a lot of Kenyon Barner in the game with Ryan Matthews, so your running game is a little bit, you know, skittish along with your receivers. And like Brian said, the Ravens need the game. The Ravens are home. They need this game to keep moving on. I think Steve Smith gets more involved this week. I think Dennis Pitta gets more involved this week, and I think the Ravens win the game. Go to the next game, Tennessee Titans at the Kansas City Chiefs. This could be a little bit of a different spin on it, but I think the Tennessee Titans can win this game. You saw the Buccaneers this year go into Kansas City and win in a hostile environment where Kansas City in Arrowhead is a tough place to play. Well, you know what? Tampa Bay is one of the few teams this year that has beaten them in Kansas City, and I think Tennessee can do it too. Tennessee's a little bit underrated. You got DeMarco Murray back there. You got Matthews at receiver. You got Tajay Sharp at receiver, and always the sneaky Delaney Walker out in the backfield. And Mariota has gotten better this year from last year. So even though the Chiefs are playing well, their defense is you know, haven't been playing good, playing kind of nasty. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm taking Tennessee Titans.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, Arrowhead.
Right. That's right.
The at means that they're playing.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also took the Jaguars against Denver, and I almost won
that worked out.
Yeah, whatever. Got to pick the game.
If you're a Titans fan, I think you're thrilled with the way the season is going. I don't think anybody thought they'd be a 7-win team right now, but they're going into a game in Kansas City where Kansas City really just need this to kind of stave off the competition they have in their own division with the Raiders and with the Broncos too. This is a game where, again, I think the Titans are very much improved. I like what I see from them. They're going to have a really great draft again. They got a lot of picks, but Chiefs aren't going to lose this game at home, I don't believe. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win the game for a lot of reasons, but first and foremost, I think they're a better team. They're going to use Spencer Ware a lot, but the Titans will need the running game to be at full force if they do intend to make this a closer game. Another divisional battle, the Pittsburgh Steelers visit the Cincinnati Bengals. I think before this season, this is more of a sexy matchup than it is right now, because the Bengals aren't playing for anything, and the Steelers have a lot to play for. You don't know if AJ Green's going to play or not. He is practicing. If I'm the Bengals, I don't rush him back. I really see no point in him playing again this year, but that's just me, whatever. I think the Steelers win this game. You know, they're going to be a dangerous team in the AFC playoffs. With the triplets they have, with Ben and Bell and Brown, I mean, they can win in any sort of game, whether it's through the air or on the ground. They're extremely talented at the skill positions. The Bengals are just a mess. Again, injuries have crept up in a big way for them. You might get A.J. Green back, you might not. But I think the Steelers, again, they need to stay ahead of the Ravens. That's their goal into the game next week. But another situation, are the Steelers looking ahead? And I think the fact that they're playing a divisional team this week as opposed to the Ravens playing the Eagles is the Steelers really can't look ahead that much. There's a rivalry here. So I think the Steelers still win the game. Bengals might try to keep it close, but Steelers are just too good, just overpowered offensively.
Okay, let's talk about the Steelers a little bit. I think a look ahead is definitely in the oncoming. Next week they play the Ravens, and I think that's definitely going to be a game that is going to be a little bit tricky to pick. But in the meantime, the Steelers play the Bengals, and you know what? Call this the off-the-hook rating, but I'm going to take the Bengals this week. I think the Bengals at home really have nothing to play for anymore, nothing to lose. Here's a Steelers team coming off a win last week in the snow against a struggling Buffalo team really had to work hard to get that win. I'm not saying the Steelers aren't a talented team. I think when push comes to shove, the Steelers are definitely a more talented team. I'm telling you from an objective standpoint, I think the Bengals have really nothing to play for. Going to hang it all out there. They're home. Could catch the Steelers off guard, maybe snoozing a little bit to the look-ahead game next week to Baltimore. I'm going to take a shot and take those Cincinnati Bungles, or the Bengals as they're called. The next game we're going to go to the Detroit Lions against the New York Giants. This is actually a pretty good matchup. I think Detroit's been playing well this year. There's been talk of Matt Stafford being up for the MVP candidate. Anquan Bold's really given the Detroit Lions a lift. And even they didn't have Theo Riddick last week either. So, and the Giants, their defense played solid against Dallas last week in a 10-7 shootout. That's how they kept them in check, is that defense. I'm going to take the Giants at home. I think the Giants can get back on track. I think they have to slow down the Detroit offense. Golden Tate really hasn't done that much this year, but I can see Golden Tate being one of the guys have a big game in this game. But in the same sense, another thing, close game. It's in the Meadowlands. I think Eli is not a phenomenal quarterback, but Eli does enough to get the job done. Giants hold him in check. I'm taking the New York Giants.
This is a really interesting game to me because it could very easily be a playoff preview. Very, very easily be a playoff preview. The Giants' defense was fantastic last week against my Dallas Cowboys. Couldn't get anything done through the air. Even Elliott got kept in check. This, I think, though, has some of the makings to be a letdown game for the Giants. It was an emotional win last week. They were the only team now to beat Dallas in the league. They did it twice. Lions are trying to win that division. I don't think anybody gave them a chance to do that before the season started. And that item you see in the Lions rearview mirror is closer than it appears, and that's the Green Bay Packers. And I think that the Lions really need to make sure that they're taking care of business, because if they slip up here, they're going to let Green Bay in, and it's going to be a bit of a problem for the rest of the NFC if that team gets into the playoffs. Yep. I think that the game means more to the Lions than the Giants. I think the Giants are pretty much solidified as a wild card right now. I don't think they need the game as much. Coming off an emotional win against Dallas, I think the Lions find a way to beat the Giants, who might be smelling themselves a little bit after beating the Cowboys last week. Give me the Lions to win this game. Colts and Vikings. This is an interesting game, to say the very least. Yep. One of us last week picked the Vikings to lose to Jacksonville.
Okay, just move on.
That did not work out. So this game, so you're going to have a game here in Minnesota where Andrew Luck and the Colts are going to try to avenge a pretty bad loss to the Houston Texans last week. The Colts right now, on the outside looking in, they're 6-7, staring up at the 7-6 Texans. They're going to need the game. You can say the same for the Vikings, though. The Vikings are on a playoff spot right now. They're one game out. But the Vikings offense just can't seem to get it going. This is going to be a game that I think is going to be won between the Vikings offense and the Colts defense. I say that because Colts offense is elite, Vikings defense is elite. They may cancel each other out. Whoever makes the least amount of mistakes on the other side of the ball probably gets a win here. I'm going to put some faith in Andrew Luck. He's not going to lose another game, and at least not to the Vikings. Close game, though. I think it might be one of the games of the week. I'll take the Colts, though.
I'm going to take the Vikings as well. Did you take the Colts?
I did.
I'm going to take the Vikings in this game. I think even though the Colts are rolling along, that deep threat's going to go away this week. That's where the Colts have been winning most of their games, is T.Y. Hilton and Moncrief getting open deep down the field. If one thing the Vikings can do is eliminate that a little bit and keep the field short. Frank Gore is having a great year, though. He is solid. I just think Minnesota's defense is still that good. Even though their offense hasn't been that good at all lately, it's been kind of inept, but enough to get jobs done to win games. But I think Minnesota at home, and the horn blowing on third downs or goal line situations, I think Minnesota can get the job done on taking the Vikings. The next game is the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Houston Texans. And yes, I'm not going to take Jacksonville this week. That's a no-brainer. I'm taking Houston. Yeah, I know. They're home. They have a lot better record at home in Jacksonville. Disappointing. Been letting me down the last couple of weeks. They've been in games. They just can't seem to get this game finished for some reason, which brings up questions about Blake Bortles, that's a whole other episode for that. But In the meantime, I'm going to make it short and sweet. I am taking the Houston Texans, not big on Osweiler, but I think they win the game.
I agree with you. Houston wins the game, and I think I see a big game coming from Lamar Miller if he's healthy. I think they're going to use him a lot in this game. Again, the Jaguars right now are kind of a ghost ship, if you will. I think the coach is on his way out at the end of the season, maybe a quarterback change. I wouldn't make that change, but there's some that think that they might. They got a lot of holes on that team. And, we really didn't think that was going to be the case this season, but clearly it is. The record says what you are in the NFL, Mr. Parcells. So I'm going to take the Texans as well. The Texans surprised me last week going into Indy and getting a win. Their defense is playing better. I don't like Osweiler a little bit, but he is playing at home where he has played better. Got a feel for DeAndre Hopkins, man, especially the fantasy people that had him because you put a high pick into him. But
the money he's making, I don't feel bad.
Well, I guess that's true. But the Texans should get a win here to try to stave off some surprising competition they're having in the AFC South with the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. In a game that probably was going to be a better game before the season than it is right now, the New Orleans Saints will fly across the country to visit the very depressing Arizona Cardinals. And what's even more depressing is driving people to drink, like Michael Floyd, who got caught with a DUI and has subsequently been cut. So Michael Floyd's a free agent. All you NFL GMs, if you're looking for somebody, he's available. Eagles. That would be a good fit now.
It probably would
be a little low risk.
They're already talking about they don't want him, which is dumb. But that's an almost
right. So the interesting part about this game is what the Cardinals are going to do. They're going to run the ball and run the ball some more. Carson Palmer has not been a difference maker this year. I think he might be on the way out as well. Saints are still mathematically in, but by the slimmest of margins. And that game last week where they had lost to the Bucs did not help at all. I'm sure you enjoyed that.
That was beautiful.
That was good. It's a tough game for me to pick because, again, I don't like either of these teams right now. Here's actually a pretty funny statistic. The last guy to throw a touchdown for the Saints was Willie Snead.
Wow, that is pretty good. Only knowledge you get here at the Sports Box. That's right. Are you done? Can I go now?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, I have to make a pick, right?
Yeah, it'd probably be helpful.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Saints.
Okay. I think it's two aging quarterbacks and a lot of offense in this game. Even though the Cardinals have a solid defense, it's been a little bit scattered, a little bit tainted lately. I think this is a high-scoring game, believe it or not. I think the Cardinals, can slow the Saints down. I just think they're going to find ways to expose the Cardinals a little bit. Cardinals are obviously going to throw all over the Saints even without Michael Floyd. I don't think that's a big issue. I'm going to take the Saints in this game as well. I think the Saints can outscore the Cardinals. The only way the Cardinals win this game is if they slow it down, and I just see it's a shootout. The next game, boy, is a good one for me. I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers at the Atlanta Falcons. Julio Jones last week with turf toe. Didn't seem like it mattered against the hapless Rams, 42-7. I don't think it's going to matter this week if Julio Jones doesn't play this week or either. Matt Ryan is on a phenomenal season. Coleman having a good year, Freeman. All these guys from Atlanta are really stepping up and having a great season. And the 49ers, 14-0 to the Jets last week, and they blow it in overtime. Blow it in overtime. So what does that say about this 49ers team? Chip Kelly, your offense stinks. It's not working. So give me the Falcons. They're going to win the game.
If you can't beat the Jets at home, you're not even going to come.
And you spot them 14.
Yeah, that was bad. Falcons trying to win this division. Yep. Right now, there are. Currently winning it, but the Bucs are very close behind, and it's a game that I think the Falcons definitely need. I think that they can win this game with half their roster. The Niners are that bad. Falcons are going to win this game. The only question is, by how much?
Yep.
A lot? Anywhere between a lot and more is how much they're going to win this game.
Double digits.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah. You.
AFC West divisional battle. Oakland Raiders facing those San Diego Superchargers. Now the Chargers, it looks like they're going to be without Melvin Gordon, who suffered an injury in their last game, and obviously, at 5-8, there's really no need to rush him back. Raiders look great. Raiders are 10-3. They're right behind the Chiefs in the AFC West. They're trying to win that division and get a home game. I tell you what, guys, those. The problem, I think, with the AFC playoffs is it wouldn't surprise me at all if the two road teams win the first weekend. If it was how it's shaping up to be. Gotta love what you're seeing from the Raiders. Again, this should be a game where the Raiders go into San Diego, who maybe they'll share a stadium with at some point. Who knows? It's all kinds of weird things between those three teams.
Raiders
to win.
If you watch the Raiders in our preview show with Ron Dorsey on, we predicted the Raiders would be up there this year. We said they were going to be solid. They just had to, contribute and play as a team, and they're doing it. Amari Cooper, you talk about Crabtree having a phenomenal year. Derek Carr really found his form. The defense playing well. I think the Raiders are really a solid team right now. The Chargers can, play well when they want to. They're kind of an up and down team, back and forth. I mean, Philip Rivers is aging, but he's still playing well. And like I said, the loss of Melvin Gordon is big for the Chargers. That's a lot of a running attack. I too will take the Raiders, even on the road against San Diego. The Raiders need to keep pace with everybody else's division right now. They're in the hunt. And with the Chiefs playing home at Tennessee, that's a game that they can win, so they really got to win this game. A great matchup, something I'm looking forward to. The Patriots and the Broncos in Denver. You saw last week Tom Brady, just do it without Gronk and do it with multiple players and guys you never heard of before. I said it before, coming off that 4-game suspension, Tom Brady is on a mission right now to screw the NFL and just win every game he possibly can. You know what? He's doing it at the age he's doing it at. Broncos, solid defense. They are at home. Trevor Siemian, I'm not too concerned about him at all. You got Demaryius Thomas there, and you got some good players, but he hasn't seemed to be able to get on the ball. They're not high-scoring games. Denver, again, good defense, got to slow the Patriots down. I don't think you slow Tom Brady down. I think the Patriots win a close one, but I think I'm going to take New England Patriots going west.
It should be a really good game. It's a rematch of the AFC title game,
yep.
But it's a different team in Denver. Mm-hmm. That offense has really deteriorated over the course of the season. They're on, I think, their third-string running back right now. You really hate picking against Tom Brady, and I'm sure as hell not going to do it in this one. But I think it's going to be closer than people think, because that Denver defense is a proud defense. And Denver needs the game, I think, a lot more than New England does. But this is just a horrible time to catch a motivated Tom Brady, ready to prove everybody wrong.
Yep.
They're missing Gronk, no question. Doesn't seem to phase them. They plug and play. You get somebody else in there, and Tom makes them a star. Pats should win this game. The Sunday night game is one that there's a rooting interest on both sides of this table right now. Mm-hmm. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the surprising 8-5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are going to visit AT&T Stadium and visit those 11-2 Dallas Cowboys. Now, let's talk about this a little bit here.
Well, let's talk about it.
So, I'm going to give your Bucs credit, as I did last week.
Their defense has played better.
Their defense has played better, although let's compare that to a very low level prior to that. So
I knew it was going to turn.
It was going to go up. The other place to go was up, and it did. I'm going to give them credit for that.
People, I did not start this, by the way.
Their offense continues to play very well. They're a team that also has a lot of talent at skill positions. And I think sometimes when you look at like the triplets, if you will, like around the league, mm-hmm. you don't really think of Tampa Bay as one of those teams. When you combine Jameis Winston, who's playing super well, with Doug Martin's running ability, and who doesn't love Mike Evans? I mean, that's a team that really can surprise people. I was not happy at all to see what I saw to Dak Prescott last week. And, I've been banging the drum here for a couple of weeks that really Romo should not have lost his job to injury. And the problem with Dak that I see is every time the blitz comes in, he seems to throw an unflagged intentional grounding because he can't get it out. Mm-hmm. I just have this scary feeling, long term, this is going to blow up in Dallas's face. As far as this week goes, I think they find a way to get a win at home, coming off a not great loss to the Giants. Again, and not taking anything away from the Giants in that game. Giants played well enough to win that game, and Dallas did. The Giants earned the win. But Dallas did not play well enough to win. You got to think Des Bryant is going to do something to make up for the fact that he fumbled for the first time in God knows how long. It was a long time. It's not a shot against the Bucs. I think the Bucs are an underrated team, no question. I think the Bucs find their way into the playoffs. But in this case, I do think that Dallas gets a win here and kind of gets back on track. But I do have my long-term concern.
I think you bring up some good points. Jameis Winston's finally getting into a groove. He's finally playing like the quarterback he was expected to play like. Doug Martin missed a lot of this season. Is trying to get back to the old form. Mike Evans, top 5 receiver. Who would have thought he's this good?
Maybe more than that.
Yeah, maybe top 3. I mean, Cameron Brate, tight end. Yeah. Very nice addition. He's playing well. And the Bucs offensive line, they've rebuilt that line 3 different times, and they're actually holding people down for Jameis to get the ball out there. And again, their defense, I've trashed them at the beginning of the year with Chris Conte back there and all those other clowns that I thought weren't doing anything. But you know what? They're playing better. They're not letting people behind them. I do have concerns, though, in the New Orleans game. There were 2 touchdowns New Orleans probably should have caught if they had, had caught them, they would have had touchdowns. But in any sense, you got Dallas on the other side of the ball. Like Brian says, Dak Prescott. Some concerns about him a little bit with the play, but he is a rookie, and he's come this far with you. You obviously roll with the punches with him. I think he's going to be okay down the road, unlike Brian does. I think Des Bryant obviously is a great receiver. You talk about Cole Beasley. You talk about the running attack with Ezekiel Elliott. You know what? I honestly really hate to do this, and I am a Bucs fan through and through, but I am going to pick the Dallas Cowboys. I think they find a way to win this game. The only way the Bucs have a chance in this game is if they slow down this offense. Number one, Ezekiel Elliott. They will have a shot to win that game, but in the overall picture, I think Dallas wins a very, very, very close game. So
I respect that.
There you go. You should.
No homers here. No homers here.
We tell it like it is. I tell it like it is. And the Monday night game, you talk about the Panthers and the Redskins, and this is a kind of a lopsided game because at the beginning of the season, you thought it would be the other way around. Like the Panthers would be the phenomenal team, and the Redskins would be at the bottom of the NFC East. Well, it's the total opposite. The Panthers have struggled all year long. The mighty Superman Cam Newton has struggled all year long. Calvin Benjamin has come back, but hasn't given Cam that over the top, pass or whatever the case may be to be a better quarterback. The Panthers are struggling. They're up and down. They played well last week against the Chargers, but this Redskins team is very underrated. People knock the Redskins down all the time and talk about Dallas and the Giants, but the Redskins are right there, folks. I mean, Kirk Cousins, when he wants to be, can play. They got a good running back in Clark back there? Kelly, sorry. Kelly back there.
Oh, Robert Kelly.
Robert Kelly. They have a good running back there in Kelly. And you can spread the ball all over the field. You got Crowder's a good receiver. You got Garcon. You got, obviously Deshaun Jackson, who's a speed guy. Got a lot of guys there, and obviously Jordan Reed if he's healthy. I'm taking the Redskins in this game. I think the Redskins at home can definitely pull on this game, and they need this game to keep pace with everybody else in the NFC East and that wild card because the NFC has just gotten bunched up in that wild card position. So the Redskins need to win this game. I'm taking the Skins.
Yeah, the Panthers have won the last 3 games in this series, but I think there was a different Panthers team than the Panthers team you see right now. They're going into Washington where Skins have a lot to play for. They're not in a playoff spot as we currently speak. They're a game behind. Something tells me that tie is going to loom large when it comes down to the seeding. I think they're going to miss it by that much. That's unfortunate for them. It is what it is. But I do think the Redskins get a win here. Panthers are just not doing a whole lot of anything to really warrant anybody thinking they're going to do anything well. That's a team that has just fallen precipitously into this season, and I think you can point it right to the loss of Josh Norman. The defense has changed, and this is then of course Josh Norman's on the Redskins, so he's going to do his damnedest to get a couple of picks off of Cam Newton, who's probably going to be okay throwing them.
And some shots across the middle.
Yeah. Redskins should win this game to try to keep pace with the rest of the NFC, trying to sneak into those playoffs. It is going to be tough for them. I think that tie, like I said, is going to be one of those arrows that keeps them out.
Well, and that's all we got for you. That's our winners of the week for Week 15. We want to thank you for watching as usual. We always got good stuff coming.
Absolutely. Twitter, @SportsBucksShow. Facebook, where all our stuff gets posted as soon as it's ready to go. And, of course, the YouTube channel where, again, all the cool kids are subscribers. Don't you want to be one of the cool kids? Really.
Gives you fresh content. It's free.
All the time.
There's no charge. Just hit the button.
Money back guarantee.
That's it. Subscribe. You'll like us. Because remember, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters. Still right here. Thanks for watching, folks. See you.
Don't forget to subscribe.